If your dealership sales are not what you want them to be, if you're not selling as many cars as you think you should, well, it's probably because of one simple equation. It's SI does not equal AC, and SI stands for search intent, does not equal your dealership's available content. Now, what does that mean? Well, it means that Google is not able to connect your dealership's content with the questions vehicle shoppers are asking online. That's simple. Let me show you a little bit what that looks like. So, in the marketplace, you have people right now on their phone, their tablet, their laptop, their desktop computer, and they are searching for things pertaining to the next vehicle they would love to buy. Now, this applies obviously to service and parts and tires and finance and all the other departments of your dealership, but just for the sake of the conversation today, we're going to focus on car sales, new or used. So you have these prospects out there in the marketplace, and they're Googling stuff. They're looking for answers to questions pertaining to the vehicle that they want to purchase. And Google, if you want, is somewhat of a matchmaker, and they're trying to match content, hopefully your dealership's website content, or what's on social media regarding your dealership, so your digital footprint, your digital empire, and Google is trying to match the content that your dealership has created with the questions that people are asking. If you want to visualize it, Google's a matchmaker, and the more content from your dealership it can match with the questions that prospects are asking, the more traffic your website, your social media, your digital footprint will get, hence more chance of getting leads, more chance of getting meaningful conversation with interested vehicle shoppers, and more chances of growing your sales. Now, the questions you need to ask yourself is, let's look at my dealership's digital presence and see how much content I'm producing to help Google match my content with people's questions. Look at your website. Is it still filled with some of the generic content blurbs that came with your website when you purchased it, your vendor's template? Sometimes maybe semi-customized, maybe for areas that you're trying to drive traffic from, but mostly just those generic blurbs that could be found on all the other websites of that vendor or all the other websites of your brand. Is the content on your website mostly transactional? So as you know, customers don't necessarily start their shopping cycle, the shopping experience, asking questions about incentives and rebates and prices. I will show you a little bit later in this training that customer starts a little bit further by trying to figure out what are the best vehicles out there. They ask questions to make sure that the vehicle is right for their transportation needs. So how much of that informational intent content do you have on your website versus transactional? What I mean by transactional is apply for financing, get an appraisal for your trade, get a price, talk to somebody. That's a lot of verbiage and content that is mostly transactional, which is a little bit lower down the funnel when people are ready to buy. And are the blurbs on your website full of keyword stuffing, content written for search engine, meaning that your About Us section or that little blurb on your homepage will say, we sell Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Cadillac in this town, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and it's just so unpleasant for customers, potential buyers, to read it, and it has really been built for search engine. And by the way, there is no such thing anymore as written for search engines. Search engines like Google are savvy, and they understand when you're just trying to stuff a bunch of keywords to try to rank a page versus creating content that is going to provide an expert opinion, an authoritative opinion, and trustworthy content. And we will get back to that, what we call EAT, E-A-T, which is the content that Google is looking for. You can also look at your VDPs. Is your VDP content only VIN explosion content? Only content that will talk about the features and the options available? Or are there blurbs of content talking about why people should choose that vehicle, what it competes with in the marketplace, and content that's going to position that particular unit as an answer to the transportation needs of the prospect? Now, what about your social media? Is it just full of testimonials and promotions, announcing new employee hires, talking about social events, talking about holiday wishes, which are all great things to have on your social media, but obviously that content is very hard for Google to use as answers to what people might be asking in the marketplace. Now, I could have showed you a plethora of different dealership websites, but I didn't want to put anybody down. What I recommend is that you take a hard look at your own digital presence and you look at what you are giving Google in terms of content to match that with prospects' question. Would I be able to find the answers to these questions on your website, let's say a prospect would ask, what's the best SUV for a growing family? Is that answer there for Google to be able to match it perfectly? What truck should I buy if fuel economy is a priority? How can I get a better value for my trade-in? And just on this last one, to give you an example, CarMax got 5,609 visitors last month alone because they have a piece of content positioned as an answer to that question. That's one page of their website. And 5,600 visitors, I look at the analytics of hundreds, if not thousands of dealers every single year, and I can tell you that's more traffic for that one page on their website than what most dealers get for their whole website in a month. And if they would have had to pay for those 5,609 visitors, they would have had to give Google $8,500 in PPC ad budget to drive that traffic. But they didn't have to pay Google because Google was able to match that piece of content on their website with that question that people keep asking over and over and over again. So you might be wondering, what are the questions that prospects are asking when shopping for a vehicle? And probably more specifically, what are the questions that prospects are asking when shopping for a vehicle in my market, for my brand, in my town, which would be incredibly relevant, as you can imagine. Now, if we look at the data that Google is providing us with, this is how vehicle shoppers are shopping for cars right now, this moment, around your dealership. The shopping process from the time they go, honey, maybe we should change our vehicle, to the time they sign on the dotted line and purchase a vehicle lasts for about 104 to 108 days based on if it's a new or pre-owned vehicle. And they go through 5 different pockets of questionings. So if you want, the funnel is going here from left to right. And the first pocket of questions that they are asking themselves is, what are the best vehicles out there? What are third-party journalists saying are the best vehicles out there? What are my friends saying are the best vehicles out there? So they're going out there and asking that question, and Google is telling us that they will probably hone in on maybe 14 to 16 different vehicles as great vehicles right now in the marketplace. Everybody is singing the praises of those vehicles. Once they have answers to that question, then they go to the second pocket of questioning, which is, are these vehicles that I've identified as good, that everybody's singing the praises of, good for me? Are they good for my transportation needs? Is there enough cargo space for me? Is there enough seating for my family? Is there enough power under the hood to be able to move my boat, my camper, do the things that I need to do in terms of my transportation needs? And once they have the answers to that question, then they go mid-funnel and they say, okay, now I've identified 14 to 16 vehicles that people are saying are great. I've narrowed it down to maybe 4 to 6 that would be good for me. Now, the question is, can I afford those vehicles? That's usually when we see them go to OEM's website or maybe on your dealership website, starting to play with the built-in price features, lease, finance, cash required to do a transaction, and then they're honing in their search on what we call the short list. And that is now usually the point where you start seeing them coming to your website. And the question now that they want to answer is, where should I buy that vehicle or those models that I'm hesitating about? And that's usually where you get a kick at the can. You're able to put your little pixel or cookie and start retargeting. But can you see how much of the shopping cycle has happened in stealth mode without your knowledge, without you knowing that this prospect was in the market for a vehicle? And unfortunately, if you think about it, that prospect probably already made a decision for a brand, maybe made a decision for a model, and you're just getting your fair share of, whatever your OEM or brand's market share is in your PMA. You're not able to influence the brand or the model or the dealership that they're going to purchase their vehicle soon enough to slip your brand, your models, and your dealership in the conversation way earlier and start influencing these people. And then the fifth pocket of question that people are asking is, am I getting a great deal? Google tells us that this happens oftentimes right there at the dealership, sometime just before signing on the dotted line. They'll go out of the dealership and Google on their phone, is that vehicle available for $1,000 somewhere else, a few miles away? And if it is, maybe you'll miss the sale. If you got the great price, then customers are just going to go back in and you now have a deal. So what does that look like? This is a slide that Google has provided us. So Stacy is their avatar. As you can see, she's explored 14 brands, considered 6, and is deciding between 2. She's made 139 Google searches. She's looked at 14 YouTube videos, 89 images of the vehicles, inside, outside, 69 dealer interactions, which could be email, visit to the website, leads, phone calls, maybe visit at the dealership, and 186 manufacturer interactions. Similar, 71% on mobile. Look at the total here. 900 total digital touch points over a period of 3 months. Now, if you want to be able to sell more cars, you need to be able to create content to match as many of those 900 touch points in the buyer's shopping journey. If you don't, then Google is going to serve somebody else's content as one of those interactions, and that's where your dealership and your brand or your models might fall off of the radar of Stacy. Now, obviously, creating content at that scale, the only way to do this is to use AI. And fortunately, we have great tools moving forward to allow you to do this. So in today's training, what I want to show you are 3 AI strategies to grow your dealership sales and profits. The first one is how to use AI to find the questions vehicle shoppers are asking in your market, not in general, in your market. Strategy number 2 is how to use AI to create content that Google will be able to match with prospects' questions. So what content should we be producing? How to create the content? And finally, how to use AI to distribute the content everywhere on the internet so you can grow your dealership's digital presence. And we're going to be looking at all 3 of these strategies so that when you leave this training, you will know exactly how to do these 3 important things. Now, if you don't know me, my name is Sean Casey, and over the last 18 years, I've helped thousands of dealers, literally, of all size, all brands, across North America, and even some around the world. I had the opportunity to create over 4,000 automotive sales funnels, edited over 3,500 automotive videos myself. I've been using AI to help dealerships sell cars for 5 years. So I know that AI has a lot of buzz since OpenAI came out with ChatGPT and some of the tools that were able to take shape after OpenAI released this incredible large language model. But I've been using it for 5 years now, even before OpenAI released ChatGPT. I curate automotive marketing content to over 30,000 automotive professionals on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram daily, created the customer acquisition system, the Automotive Success Academy, AI Marketing.ai, and I wrote over 30 million words of content related to the automotive industry in the last few years. Bottom line, I've helped dealerships sell over $2 billion. So I think that I truly have a strategic point of view and the ability to show you how to leverage AI to be able to increase your sales and profits. Now, this training is valuable if you're an automotive professional, if you are responsible for the marketing of a dealership, or you own a dealership as a dealer principal or part of the management team, you will get a lot of value from this training. So if you are ready, let's dive in with strategy number 1, how to use AI to find the questions that vehicle shoppers are asking in your market. Now, you might be asking, okay, well, where are people asking those questions? Well, the big behemoth in the story is obviously Google. Google owns Google Search, they own YouTube, and just these 2 properties together, Google and YouTube, are bigger together than the other 48 websites combined. So when you're talking about where people are Googling, just statistically, these are the place you should be focused on. That doesn't mean that Facebook is not an opportunity, Instagram, LinkedIn, obviously, but even on those platforms, Google has the ability to bring the content that's available on Facebook, that's available on X, Twitter, that's available on other platforms, because Google owns, as I mentioned, YouTube, they own Google Maps, they own Gmail, so they're even preview of many of the conversation that prospects are having in their inbox. They own Google My Business, and pretty much anybody with a rooftop across the marketplace also has their website and their business linked to Google My Business. A lot of businesses use Google Ads, so Google knows the keywords that they're using to attract prospects and the keywords that prospects are using to respond or to trigger those ads. And they also have Google Analytics, and I can tell you that pretty much 99.9% of websites around the world, including the big guys like Facebook and Instagram, have Google Analytics just to be able to know what's happening behind the scenes of their website. So in other words, Google knows everything about pretty much every website in the world And by ricochet, you can imagine that they know everything about what prospects are doing on these websites. So what we need would be a spying system that would allow us to know what Google knows about you, your store, your competitors, and the vehicle shoppers that are using Google and all their properties and other websites to figure out the answers to the questions that are burning them, that are important to them, to make that decision about the next vehicle that they will be purchasing. So let me show you one of my favorite tools. So for the sake of the time together in this presentation, I needed to choose one dealership to be able to spy on if you want, and I didn't want to make anybody look bad, so I said, hey, why not go after the world's largest? This is a Chevrolet dealer in Cincinnati, Ohio. So I thought, hey, let's spy a little bit on what's happening on their website. So as you can see here, I am on their website. This is how prospects or consumers or you would be able to see a McCluskey Chevrolet. But this is how the spy tool allows us to see what's happening behind the scene. Now, don't get overwhelmed by all the data and all the graphs and everything that's there. I will show you a little bit how to look at the screen so you can get some insight. The first thing that is incredibly important is what we have here, and it's called a DR, and it stands for domain ranking. They have a DR of 40, and that's really good for a retail car dealership. A lot of the dealership that I spy on or that I investigate in the goal of helping them move more metal and sell more cars are often going to be in the teens or in the low 20s. I rarely see dealers in the 30s, so them in the 40s would probably explain why they are the world's largest Chevrolet dealer. Now, that DR is a number between 0 and 100, and car dealers, you could probably relate to a credit score. So the credit score in real life is the confidence that a lender would have about lending money to a borrower. The DR is the level of confidence that Google might have on the website in terms of serving it traffic. The higher the DR, the more confident Google is to send a click to their content because the website has a great reputation. And just to give you something to compare it with, we can go to the Chevrolet.com website, which is the brand of the dealership here, and they have a DR of 84, so a lot closer to the perfect mark of 100. Now, why would they have a DR of 40 and Chevrolet.com have a DR of 84? Well, it's based on the amount of referring domain. Referring domains are other websites that are linking to their website. So if you want backlinks, so we have 411 websites that are linking 70,000 plus times to their dealership. That is part of the reason why their DR is strong. They also are indexed by Google for 35,000 keywords. So there's 35,000 keywords that Google was able to index on their website in terms of content. That's probably why they're driving this nice amount of traffic. Now, this amount of traffic, don't get fooled, that's not their total traffic. That's only the traffic coming from organic searches, aka Google able to connect somebody asking a question with a piece of content and they're getting the click on Google search. So that's what that number is. The actual number that they're probably driving must be way higher. Now, if you look at the Chevrolet site, they're indexing for close to 500,000 keywords. They have 27,000 plus domains, other websites linking to the Chevrolet brand 3.4 million times. And that is why their DR is higher. Now, the fun part is we can actually see what are the keywords that McCluskey is ranking for. I can click here, you see just on the left side where it says organic keywords, and now I can see the questions that people are asking. So buy here, pay here, Columbus, Ohio, they are generating, you see traffic here, 2,029 visitors. They're up from the last 30 days, 1,023 clicks. So those are visitors that they're getting for free. They would have to pay like a little fortune to be able to get that traffic. Actually, $2.99 per click to be able to get that traffic. So you can see the value of that little question here. So you have all these different questions and we can go, well, you can actually see that there's 50,989 different keywords. Car dealership Cincinnati, they're getting 69 clicks from it. So we can see what questions people are Googling to find them. We could also do the exact same thing. What are people Googling to find the brand? And we'd be able to mimic some of the strategy or some of the questions that people are interested to know, aka what vehicle is the most popular right now in the Chevrolet lineup? Well, the system is pretty clear. The Chevrolet Tahoe is the most popular questions that people are asking pertaining to the Chevrolet brand right now. You can see the insights that we're getting by this. Now, I would like to bring your attention to how recent the data here is. So if you look here, 19 hours ago, 4 days ago, 2 days ago, 5 hours ago. So this is really, really recent data. This is not things from last quarter or last year. This is telling you what people are Googling right now. Now, we could also go and see McCluskey's competitors, Joseph Chevrolet, and see how much they're traffic. So you see they got a DR of 10. What does that mean? That means that if Joseph Chevrolet and McCluskey had both a piece of content and people would ask the question, well, Google would unequivocally give the click to McCluskey versus Joseph because their DR is much higher. Joseph only 10, McCluskey at, if I remember well, 40. So the confidence level that McCluskey Chevrolet is going to deliver a better piece of content. Remember what we talked about earlier, and I will dive into this. Expert piece of content, authoritative piece of content, trustworthy piece of content, well, McCluskey would probably get the click. And now we can do this and go see, okay, what are the keywords driving traffic to Joseph Chevrolet? Well, Chevy dealer Cincinnati, they're getting 40 clicks from it. Car dealership Cincinnati. So that gives us insight as to some additional piece of content that our competitors are getting clicks for and what we could be producing to steal those 40 clicks for Chevy dealer Cincinnati, steal those 30 clicks for car dealership Cincinnati's, and so on and so forth. We can see there's 2,800. We can even do this for off-brand. So we got King's Toyota here. That's generating 27,000 visitors. They got a DR of 27. And if we go into the organic keywords, then we can say, hey, what is driving traffic to them? So Toyota Cincinnati. Now you might be wondering, well, Sean, wait a second. Like, I'm not a Toyota dealer. No, but you probably have Toyota vehicles in your pre-owned department. Nothing stops you from creating great content pertaining to all of the models of the Toyota brand and positioning it not as a new Toyota franchise dealer, but as a pre-owned thriving operation for Toyota models. You could also look at what are the most popular models within the Toyota brand and create a piece of content where you go versus or head to head, where you compare the Toyota Avalon with whatever model you have in your roster that would compete with this, and then put it in a piece of content where you say, for example, the Chevrolet Silverado 1500 versus the Toyota Tundra. And now you got a piece of content. So when people in your market in Cincinnati are going to be Googling the Toyota Tundra, they're going to stumble on your piece of content, putting head to head in a versus, sharing information and insights about the Toyota Tundra and how it competes with the Chevrolet Silverado. And now you can start getting those clicks. You can see how powerful this is in terms of being able to know, within the last 30 days, what are people Googling, what's driving traffic in your market, and what piece of content you should be producing to be able to drive the traffic to your website. As I showed you here, we got 36,156 keywords that people are Googling right now in Cincinnati to find that particular dealer. I could go here and export those 36,156 keywords, do that for all the dealership that McCluskey is fighting, dealerships of the same brand or similar brand, maybe part of the GM family, other domestic brand like Ford, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and maybe even import, and just combine all those keywords together and then using AI to organize those keywords in what I call an opportunity score and telling us precisely what keywords should we be going after in terms of keyword difficulty, in terms of the cost per click, in terms of the available traffic, and in terms of the opportunity score. And that will allow us to create a list of different pieces of content based on different category, based on different opportunity. You can see here we've created a list of over 1,000 different pieces of content or articles that we would be able to write for that particular dealer in terms of being able to match the questions that people are asking so that their dealership is able to steal the click, steal the traffic, and bring it to their website crank their DR, rank for more keywords, and continue to create that moat around the dealership. I know it's not a very popular word today, but in the medieval time, when you would create that body of water around the castle with the drawbridge, you were protecting your property. And this is exactly what you could do by using AI and just figuring out what's driving traffic and create content. So this leads us to strategy number 2. Now that we have our list of keywords, we have them organized in terms of opportunity, we have the titles of the pieces of content that we should be creating. If you remember here, we had over 1,000 different articles. So how do you create content at scale that Google will be able to match with prospects' question? Well, first, let me show you what not to do, because a lot of people will say, well, wait a second, I know ChatGPT, I can get a free account and potentially create a piece of content. Don't do that. This is not going to generate the results that you are hoping for. And let me show you here. For example, if I go to ChatGPT, and I use the free version. I am using right now the premium version, so I paid the $20 to OpenAI to get all the different features, get ChatGPT 4, which is a way more powerful and intelligent large language model, LLM. But, if you're using the free version and you go here and you say, please write for me a blog article on the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado for XYZ Motors, in Cincinnati, Ohio. Enter, you will see that the system is going to spit out an article that might look, at a glance like a great piece of content. A lot of people are not necessarily great writers. So when they see a piece of content like this, they're like, oh my God, this is better than anything that I would write. The problem is if you copy paste this piece of content here, and you go to what we call an optimization tool that will tell you how this piece would fare when you upload it on the internet for Google, you can see that this particular piece of content, I've done the exercise before, would rank very poorly. On an optimization score between 0 and 100, it would score 3, while the average 20 pieces of content for 2024 Chevrolet Silverado, Cincinnati, Ohio, rank at 21. In other words, if you would do what I just did, going to free ChatGPT and asking it to write a blog for you, you would create a piece of crap. You would create a piece of content that would not have a fighting chance to go head to head with the first 10 pieces of content that you find on the homepage. So you're literally just creating crap. And what we've seen lately is that Google might even punish you if you post too much of that crap on the internet. So what do you want to do? Well, you want to create content that's going to offer Google what they want, which is that EAT, so expertise, authority, and trust. They actually added the EAT lately, which is experience. Talking about your experience selling the 2024 Chevrolet Silverado 1500 or any of the models that you're thinking about writing a piece of content on. Your expertise. Why would Google trust your content? Is it written with authority? And is it trustworthy content? And I will tell you a little bit how to do this. Now, how do you take one of the pieces of content that we had earlier, one of the articles that we want to write, or any other piece of content that we would like to steal the traffic from? Well, I'm going to show you an example here with CarMax. If you remember when we started our little time together, we talked about one of the conversations, or one of the questions rather, that people might be asking, how can I get a better value for my trade-in? And I told you that CarMax was getting 5,609 visitors from it. So I'll show you a little bit how you would go about getting that piece of content and getting AI to recreate it better so it would have a chance to go head and head with the article from CarMax and potentially get some of those 5,600 visitors if you were competing with them head-to-head in your market. So here's the piece of content that we have. So we have here how to trade a car. We can see here 5,545. Obviously this number has been adjusted from yesterday since I took the screenshot, but you can see it's still in the same vicinity. So we have that particular article here, and I could click on the link and it brings me right here to that piece of content. Now I can use AI to outrank this particular article. So what I'm doing here is I am telling AI, I want you to read this article from CarMax and extract from it all the keywords that are important. Why is Google loving this piece of content so much that it's ranking it so high that it's getting those 5,600 visitors? And we'll just skip the URL for now, but you can see it extracted all those different keywords. And now look how fast it is rewriting, not plagiarizing, but inspiring itself from the content and the keyword and all the LSI found in this particular article to rewrite an article that you would be able to work with. Now, I wouldn't be taking this particular article here and posting it directly because that article is made to go head to head with the article for CarMax, which is probably a nationwide piece of content. And I'm not trying to get people to trade in their vehicle at my dealership or at my client's dealership nationwide, but within, in the example of McLesley, within the Cincinnati area. So what I would do next is I would use a other tool, and we're not going to go into all of the details to it, but I would put it in, and what it would do is it would go extract a little bit like what we've done here with the CarMax article. Now what it's going to do, it's going to extract all the good stuff from the 20 pieces of content that are right now ranking for how to trade in a car in Cincinnati. And I'm going to be able to paste that article. It's going to tell me how to optimize it. And I'm going to be able, if you remember a little bit earlier in my presentation when I copy pasted the article from ChatGPT, the free version, just for a simple prompt that gave me a 3% optimization score. When you do this well, with the right workflow, using the right tech stack, you're able to get an article that is optimized to near perfection. So we see here that it has an optimization score of 96%. The average article right now for that particular search query in Cincinnati has an average score of 28. What does that mean is that when I post that article on my client's website, or that you would post on your website, Google would say, oh my God, this article is even better than what I've ranked as article number 1 or 2 and 3, and it's going to send the clicks to your article. It's going to literally move out of the top spot the people that are there right now because the article is so similar, has all the right keywords, has all the optimization, all the long tail keywords. It's built to give Google exactly what they want and the confidence they need to rank that article to the top of the food chain. And all you need to be able to do this is to have, like I mentioned, the ideal workflow, the ideal tools, and know the exact recipe. And now you can go after those 1,000 different articles, all those different keywords in the marketplace that are right now generating traffic, and really build that moat like we were talking about while all your competitors are sleeping at the switch. Now, what does that look like in terms of giving Google that EEAT? Well, if you're doing this the way I've shared with you and you're providing Google these articles, well, then Google is going to say, this article has consensus. Now, consensus in SEO simply mean that the article has a similar amount of image, has a similar amount of headlines, has a similar amount of words, has a similar amount of everything, so that Google feels that it's not taking a risk to put or to replace even your article with one of the people that are at the top. What is that going to trigger? Traffic. People are going to click on that link and they're going to land on it. What Google wants to see next is what are visitors saying about the page. So once Google starts to generate some clicks to that blog content, are visitors staying on it? And that's why it's important to create a blog post that is visually appealing, that will have key takeaways right from the get-go so people know, hey, am I on the right pieces of content? Tables so we can compare both vehicles in the example we were talking about a little bit earlier. Some interesting pictures, interesting information. So you see how every little bit of scroll, I'm seeing bolded keywords, title, I'm seeing tables, I'm seeing pictures. Now Google knows that this article has a certain read time. So we can see here it's a 14-minute read time. So after Google gives you the click, how much time are people spending on the page? The more time they're spending on it, the farther they go down the page, right down to the FAQ or the related articles, or a little blurb here on who wrote the article which helps Google with the EAT, because now it says, oh, wait a second, the person that has written this article has been part of the automotive space for decades. There's a lot of authority. There's a lot of expertise. The person is a dealer principal in a current dealership, so it has the authority and the expertise and the experience to write that piece of content. And then when Google sees that, well, it says, wait a second, not only is the article has consensus, it looks like the big boys that are trying to rank for that keyword, I'll give it a chance. Now, people are telling me, the feedback loop, that this article is great because they're taking time to read it, they're spending time on the page. The only thing that Google is looking for at this point is, are there other websites that are linking to this piece of content? If you remember when we started our time together, when I showed you some of the information about the website, what we call backlinks, if the piece of content is absolutely awesome, don't you think that other people around the web are going to want to link to this article as a little anchor text like here and give additional inbound backlinks and referring domains, which is going to increase the DR and the confidence and the reputation of the website? And this is a little bit what we're venturing on. It's probably also the perfect segue to go into strategy number 3, how to use AI to distribute the content everywhere on the internet to grow your dealership's digital presence. If you remember well, I showed you how to use AI to figure out what are the questions that people are asking, organize them in terms of opportunity, create titles for articles so you can go steal that traffic. Then I showed you how to use AI again with the right workflow and the right tech stack to be able to create with a super high velocity that content. And now that we have that content attached to your website, how are we going to use AI to make sure that this content also ends up everywhere? What I mean by everywhere, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Medium, LinkedIn article, all those other websites that will allow you to post for free, bits and pieces, snippets, summary, posts, linking to your article, and that will create a massive amount of backlink. And you want to be able to do that everywhere on social media so that you can automate content domination across your whole digital empire. Let me show you a little bit what that looks like. If we take a piece of content that I have written for one of our dealers, we'll take this one since we have it open. What you are going to do is use ChatGPT. And again, you can see here that I am going to be using ChatGPT 4, which is the paid version. I do not recommend using the free version. And what I am going to do here is copy paste a prompt that I've been using that pretty much says to ChatGPT, I'm going to give you a piece of content and I need you to turn it into the ultimate Facebook post for vehicle shoppers in Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, in and around the Cincinnati area. I'll just now go here, and grab that piece of content. So now we've written the article and we are going to ask ChatGPT to turn the article into the ultimate Facebook post, and you'll see that this is going to happen at warp speed. It's going to include all the keywords that we have in the article, and it's going to spit out for me in a few seconds the ultimate Facebook post. And as you can imagine, once it finished spitting out for me the ultimate Facebook post, I can do this with the ultimate LinkedIn, Instagram, Medium article, LinkedIn article, and I can start having this content spread, syndicated across the internet, all linking back to my original piece of content, which links back to my website. So now when people are finding the article on Facebook and clicking on it, they're ending up on Facebook, like here. So this, I got Tom TP's Facebook page open, and you can see here example of what they've been posting. Look at the amount of keywords. This goes beyond. It doesn't mean that they're no longer posting testimonial of some of the clients that took delivery of a vehicle. It doesn't mean that they don't have inspiring message, but sprinkled through those posts are keyword rich articles that will drive traffic to their blog site, which will drive traffic to their website, which will answer people's questions when they're at the top of the funnel with informational content, so they have a chance to engage them with transactional content as they go down the funnel. So it doesn't mean you don't have inspiring message, doesn't mean you don't put quotes, doesn't mean you don't put testimonial, doesn't mean you don't celebrate an employee that did really, really well. And you do the same thing with your LinkedIn company page. They're creating digital footprint, building their digital empire, linking back to their website, providing Google, if you remember well, the opportunity that Google will be able to play matchmaker and serve these pieces of content, whatever they are on LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Medium or LinkedIn article or any other blog post that you want to have across the internet, linking back to your site, and now engaging and connecting with vehicle shoppers across the funnel. This is something that you can even do with your VDPs. Most VDPs across the internet are just bland. As you can see, VIN explosion, a bunch of bullet points, similar vehicle, very little information to engage the prospect, very little information that Google would be able to index as answers to questions that people might have regarding purchasing a truck in that particular space. Now what I could do, I can again use ChatGPT into a custom GPT, put the URL of the VDP, feed it to ChatGPT. ChatGPT is going to go and read the URL, go through all the information found into the VIN explosion and all those different bullets, take all that boring information, just validate it with me, just to make sure that this is the right vehicle, that this is the information that I want it to take to build this beautiful piece of content. I would have the ability here to add different things. For example, on the pre-owned side, if it's a vehicle that was purchased from us initially, that had been serviced at the dealership, I might want to be able to add this, but just for the sake of speed, I will just say good to go. And what it will do now, it will take everything that it found on the VIN explosion, all those different bullets, and now create an absolutely beautifully customized piece of content that I'm going to be able to copy paste, add to my VDP, that's going to pull in some of the markets, some of the small towns, some of the districts, some of the counties that you're probably trying to drive traffic from. It's going to weave it into something that is going to be pleasant to read for prospect, that's going to bring value to their time on your website. Remember the EEAT, that's going to make Google happy with what now on this VDP. So instead of having this boring page that Google is going to index with very little information, now we have this beautiful piece of content that it's also going to pull some of the competitors. So now if people are Googling F-150 or Ram 1500, now that VDP, which did not have F-150 or Ram 1500, but obviously people in the marketplace might be looking for a vehicle of that model. Now we have a chance to actually start to get clicks for the Ram 1500 and the F-150, even if our VDP is for the Silverado 1500. And all I have to do is just copy paste this piece of content, go into the back end of your website and just go into paste it. And now you have a really well optimized VDP. You can see how we're able to use AI to not only know what people are Googling, what people are searching, the question they're asking, but create at warp speed, at maximum velocity, the content so Google can play matchmaker and serve that content to vehicle shoppers, drive more traffic. But we're also able to use AI to, once that content is created, syndicate it across the web, build for your store the most massive digital footprint imaginable right now and moving forward, and build your dealership's digital empire. So as we kind of wrap our time together into some of the things that I hope are going to be able to stick with you, is this first one here. Prior to 2024, dealerships were buildings in the real world, brick and mortar businesses, and they had a website which acted as a window into the online world. Moving forward from 2024, dealerships that are going to do well are not going to see themselves as brick and mortar businesses with a website, but they're going to see themselves as online business with a brick and mortar window in the real world, where people could come take delivery of their vehicle, where people can come and service their vehicle. But the real business is built online. If I wanted to just set proportions, this would be the size of the business, that multi-million-dollar building that have been driving business for years, maybe decades for your store, is now the small component into the actual machine that you need to build on the internet to make sure that it drives the revenue, the sales, and the profit that you need to not only survive, but thrive in 2024 and moving forward. And you can see that dealerships that have the right mindset are right now, today, generating that type of results. We have this small facility, the Tesla dealership, and they are selling and moving roughly 600 new vehicles currently each month out of the small facility. I realize that Tesla is part of Elon Musk's empire. I think that he definitely, being at the helm of PayPal at some point in his life and X, aka Twitter today, understand the nature of online businesses. But what I wanted you to do or to get from our time together is a vision. Could that be the look of the dealerships of the future? People that analyze strategically, purposefully what people are Googling, searching for in the market, creating at high velocity and high speed the content to be able to match those questions, generating leads, meaningful conversation, and selling cars across the traditional borders that you might have of your PMA everywhere in the country, and making, money and revenues and sales that were up to this day unimaginable. Now, if that excites you, if I was able to create that vision in your mind, well, you might be wondering at this point, what are the next steps, Sean? What should I be doing? And in the process of our time together, this is a little bit where you are. You're in what I call the value in advance. I hope I was able to share with you this information that I've learned being in the privileged position of serving dealers of different brands across, number of different countries. I was able to gather this information. I would hope that I was able to bring you a ton of value and that there's a few light bulb moment that went on in your mind. If that's you, this is how you feel, what I invite you to do is to book your automotive spying session. Instead of just showing you generally, like we did with McCluskey, what we did in Cincinnati, but show you the keywords that people are Googling right now in your market, for your store, what are driving traffic from your competitors, for your brand, and doing it incredibly specific so that after our time together, you will have an exact understanding of what you should be doing. I will provide you with a plan of what I think should be the strategy for you over the next 90 days, 6 months, 1 year. We'll be able to strategize, we'll be able to customize, we'll be able to monetize. And my goal is, whether we decide to work together or not, that you will have the ability to go and do it yourself, or to work with me so I can continue to share information, or even work with Turbo so that we can do for you bits and pieces of the strategy that I shared that might be overwhelming at this point, a little bit like training wheels that we can take off a little bit later, that you can train your marketing team or your staff to do. But there's no one size fits all. In other words, I want to make sure that I can help you investigate what's going on in your market, show you a plan, and let you decide how you would like to execute that plan, and if you would like to work with me to execute it. Ultimately, what I want you to build is a predictable, consistent, and profitable customer acquisition machine that you're going to be able to just go off, turn a few knobs, and get as many leads, meaningful conversation, appointments, sales, profits, money than you ever wished for. And if you need some help, just use the link underneath this video, book your specific spying session with me, and like I love to say, let's sell some cars.